Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey. Today we're taking a look at this one right here, Endless Pass of Viking Saga, designed by Núria Casellas and put out by WizKids. Now, this is a card game where players can be eliminated, so you do need to know that off the bat. But basically, each player is taking on the persona of a Viking that is battling for the title of Conqueror of the Pass. Here, let me read this to you and just gives you an idea of what's going on. Enter the Endless Pass, survive the never-ending horde of the Endless, and compete with other Vikings to claim the title of Conqueror of the Pass. Eternal glory awaits. So basically, you're going to be playing cards on the pass. You're going to be trying to defeat these endless serpentine creatures that have been sent by Jormungandr, the Midgard serpent, and the first person to get 10 glory wins, or the person who is the last standing is the winner. So those are the winning conditions. Let's get down to the table and take a closer look. So as we begin explaining Endless Pass of Viking Saga, you need to understand that there are basically two decks in the game. The first deck of cards is the Pass deck. That is filled with all of these different kinds of pass cards. And of course, as you can see, there are multiple copies of all of these cards in the deck. You have a Stormhammer, which is a magical weapon that can basically defeat two Endless at one time. You have rune cards that can be accumulated and collected in order to score more points, more glory points. You also have Greek fire cards, which are basically like grenades that do 2 damage, but they also might cause you some damage because of the splash effect that they might have. There are also just regular Endless cards that look like this, and then you have the 9, which is basically an advanced rule set that you can use during the course of the game. What we found was that it didn't add enough complexity to the game. You can go ahead and just add it in. What they do, however, is they make the game a little bit more complicated because the 9 have restrictions. They can be defeated just like regular Endless cards, but for example, this guy, you can't use a Stormhammer to defeat him. This one right here, you cannot use defend or evade cards against him. And this one, instead of just doing 1 point of damage to you, he does a point of damage and he steals 1 of your glory. So there's a couple of those in there. Here you can't use attack cards on this one, so you have to evade with him or some other thing. And then finally, you can't use Greek fire on this guy. So these 9 kind of boss Endless cards make the game a little bit more difficult, but they don't add any complexity to it. And then you also have the action deck, and the action deck is of course filled with multiple copies of all of these different cards out here. First of all, you have hide cards, which is one of the cards that you can play at the very beginning of your turn to basically skip your turn if you want to. Then you also have attack cards, which is your basic form of attacking the Endless. You have defend cards, which will help you block the attacks and have them move on to your other opponents during the course of the game. You have evade cards, which basically are the same kind of card as this. Is basically you're passing the buck, so to speak, but just 2 different ways to do that. Then you also have steal cards, which will let you choose 1 card at random from the hand of another Viking to maybe get the leg up on your competition or something like that. And then you also have speed cards that look like this, that have a +1 here and then a -1 on the bottom. And this basically allows you to draw 1 extra pass card when you're walking through the pass deck, or you can draw 1 less, depending on which one you would like to do. But each Viking will have a certain number of these in your hand. Usually it's around 2 or 3 as a hand limit. And then the rest of the cards will be their pass cards that they have in their hand. So let's get to how you actually play the game. So the basic point of the game is that you're trying to either be the first Viking to get 10 glory points or simply be the last Viking standing. Each player is going to be given a hand of 3 action cards to begin the game with, and they're also going to be given this player board, which, by the way, I have them set up right here with their special powers. This is actually the advanced setup. As you can see, each of the Vikings have their own special abilities, but on the other side, it's just a regular board that you can use for basic play. There's no differentiation between any of them, and the other side has special powers, different kinds of speeds, different kinds of hand limits, all that kind of stuff. So it just depends on what flavor of game you want to play. So the first thing that we have to do on my turn is simply decide whether or not I'm going to hide or if I'm going to walk the pass. If I walk the pass, I'm going to draw a number of cards that's equal to the speed. For right now, Steinbjorn here has a speed of 3, so he's going to be drawing 3 cards from the deck in order to walk the pass. Or he can hide. If he has a hide card in his hand, he can play that and simply just pass his turn. He'll refill his hand, he'll refill to his hand limit, and then it'll be the next person's turn. But if he doesn't have one of these hide cards, then he can't choose to do that. He must walk through the pass. Now, if he walks through the pass, like we said here, he has to draw equal to his speed. But if he has one of these cards, the speed cards, he can add one to that or take away one from that. So basically, right now, I don't think I'm going to hide, but because, you know, I'm a Viking, but I think I will play this, so I draw 1 less card than normal. So instead of 3, I'm going to draw 2. So we're going to turn 1 over. Actually, they'll go into my hand, and then I'll play them out. So I'll play these out like this because they're both endless cards. Any cards that are not endless will go into your hand and stay there, and you can use them on future turns, or this turn as a matter of fact. So right now, I don't really have anything that can defend or attack either of these guys. So what I think I will do is I'll play this steel card, which lets me take a card at random from another Viking, and that goes into my hand. Luckily, it was an evade card, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to evade 1 endless. The other endless is going to cause me 1 damage, and then, because I did not defeat either of these guys, they're going to be passed on to the next person in line. So these guys will actually come over here and attack this person. At the end of my turn, I'm going to draw back up to my hand limit, which for Steinbjorn is 2, and that will be the end of my turn. Now, my opponent over here, they're going to have to already face these 2. I have to draw 2 cards because that's my speed for Hervor. So we're going to draw 1 and 2. Luckily, I didn't have any endless cards to play out here, so I just have these 2. So what I am going to do here is play a steel card and take one of these cards at random. We'll take this one right here. All right, well, I chose wisely. I'm going to defeat that one, which will gain me 1 glory. And then I'm also going to evade the second endless, which doesn't give me any glory, but it also is not going to deal me any damage. And so these will all go here. This guy was defeated, and he'll come back over here. This goes there. I have 1, and I'm going to play 2 runes because here, Hervor has this special ability called Rune Song. I can use 2 runes to gain 1 health or gain 1 glory. Well, I don't need any health, but I will take that extra glory because remember, the first person to get 10 is the winner. So there we have that. We use both of those. This one will get passed to the next player, and play continues that way until one of those 2 ending conditions are met. 1 person gets to 10 glory, or there is 1 Viking left standing. Now, another thing that you can do on your turn after you have resolved all of the effects of your encounter with the Endless, after you have evaded all of them or defeated all of them, or whatever it might be, after that part of your turn, you can also attack other Vikings. You can attack them at close range, which means that you are adjacent to each other on either side of yourself, or you can attack long range, which basically means you can attack anybody at the table. But in order to do that, you have to have a Greek fire, basically a grenade to lob over at them. Now, when you attack, you're simply going to play an attack card, which could be a Greek fire or a sword, but you cannot use storm hammers against other Vikings. They're only for defeating the Endless. So, for example, if I play a sword, then this person has to either play a sword to counter my attack, like so, or they could play a defend card, which would basically end the combat, meaning that no damage is dealt over here. But let's say that they wanted to play another attack card, and then this person says, nope, I'm going to continue the attack. They don't have any more cards to play. They will have to lose something. Now, what they have to lose will be determined by what the Viking was attacking for. You can attack for glory, or you can attack for health. If they were attacking for glory, the person who lost the battle will lose a glory, and the other person will gain. Same thing is true for health. They will lose a health, they will gain a health. So that's how attacking for glory and or health works. So that is Endless Pass from WizKids, designed by Núria Casellas. Now, I have to say that on the onset, and we'll talk more about this later, the look of the game really turned me off. Now, before we get into all of those things, let's talk about the pros of the game. And the reason I want to start there is because, well, I usually start with the pros because I like saying the good things first. But here, I want to make sure that I point out here that I like this game in spite of the graphic design. And that's saying a lot, because usually graphic design, artwork, that's what helps bring a game up for me. Here, it actually pulled it down, but I like the game so much that it didn't pull it down that much. You see, first of all, the gameplay is very simple. It's very intuitive, actually, that you're trying to attack and defend these different things. There isn't a whole lot of iconography in the game, hardly any at all, really. But even the advanced rules of the game is still really simple, yet engaging. And that's my second pro, is the fact that it is really an engaging thing. You can attack the Endless, but after you're done dealing with the Endless, if you see a guy over there that is doing a little bit better than you, or maybe just as good, and you just want to knock him down a couple pegs, you can attack that Viking as well. And that's a good level of player interaction. You have to walk this wire, so to speak, between having enough cards and enough resources to deal with the Endless that come your way, but at the same time, you also want to take some jabs at your fellow Vikings to kind of knock them down a peg and keep you in first place. I really liked that tension, that back and forth, that hand management that has to happen in this game, and I thought it struck a really great balance. The third pro for me is the fact that you can play the game where everybody has their own special abilities. And usually, well, not usually, but sometimes those different player powers can really be powerful. It's so powerful that one is like, wow, I'm not really happy with my special ability, but man, that special ability over there is great. That's probably why they're doing so well. And that's not really the case with these. They do have some pretty cool abilities, but none of them seem more powerful than the other. And I love games that give us different feelings, different avenues toward victory. Not that this is multiple paths to victory. It's just that you have a special thing that you can do that might make winning just a slightly, just a smidge easier than somebody else. Now, with all that having been said, I do want to get to the cons. And really the main huge con for me is the graphic design of this game. It really looks like they had a great design, and they just kind of slapped some artwork on it and slapped a couple of really basic looking Viking pictures on it, and just, the box insert was horrible production. The cards are not all the same size. You can tell that some of the cards were cut just as slightly differently than some of the other ones. The colors on these cards are not all the same. I mean, if you look at just these right here, you can tell that there is a palette difference. Like there was something wrong with printing. And it's just, I don't know, not a lot of attention seems to have been given to the graphic design of this game and putting the game together and the production value. And that's a huge strike for me. Now, it's not going to affect my rating of the game as much, because in this case, I like the gameplay so much that I'm not really giving a pass, because I feel like I'm really hitting them hard on the graphic design of the game. The artwork isn't bad, but the production value, I guess you could say, is what's really lacking here, and that's really egregious, because I think they have a great game designed by Ms. Casellas, and I think that it's a very fun game to play, but the production value of it just takes away, and that's really unfortunate, because I think that people are going to see this box on the shelf and they're going to say, looks boring, which, I mean, it's just that way. I mean, the back of the box here, yeah, it gives you some components, but it just doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't grab me, and that's really, really a bad thing, because I think this is a great game. We had a lot of fun playing the game, and the component value is just not very good. And that's really my only complaint with this game is the slipshod, so to speak, production value / graphic design of this game, and it's really unfortunate. But I really enjoy the game. All in all, this is going to get a 7 out of 10 from me, because I did enjoy the game a lot. It does not take a long time to play. It's really quick. The box says, let's see here. I'm just going on my... doesn't even say on the other side. Let's see here. Where is it? There it is. Yeah, just 30 minutes, but I don't even think it'll take that long after you're savvy with it, because gameplay is really fast. On your turn, you can pretty much decide really quickly what you're going to do, and you are kind of stuck sometimes with the hand that's dealt to you. So I really enjoy the gameplay. 7 out of 10. I just wish this could probably be an 8 for me easily if it was designed better. And more attention was given to the quality of the production rather than just kind of slamming it together. Don't be fooled by the outside. Look deeper, and I think you'll find a game that you might enjoy. Well, that's it from me for Endless Pass, a Viking Saga from WizKids and designer Núria Casellas. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you guys on the flip side.